Borno bombings, military plans crackdown as representatives begin probe. General Christopher Musa. Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa. The Defense Headquarters, on Tuesday, described last Saturday's suicide bombings in Borno State as acts of cowardice by Boko Haram terrorists. The DHQ, which insisted that Boko Haram insurgents had been significantly degraded, vowed a decisive clampdown on the terrorists. The Director, Defense Media Operations, Major General Buba Edward, stated this on Tuesday in response to the Saturday multiple bombings in the Gwoza local government area of Borno State. As of Monday, the death toll from the attack was 32. While 14 victims were discharged from the hospital, 12 remained on admission battling for their lives. The House of Representatives, on Tuesday, mandated its Committee on National Security and Intelligence to investigate the Borno attacks. The suicide bombings were the deadliest in recent times and generated significant attention both locally and internationally. Explaining how the incidents happened, the DHQ spokesman, Edward said, over the weekend, troops of Joint Task Force OP Haydinkai in the Northeast Theatre recorded a series of reprehensible terror attacks in the Gwoza LGA of Borno State. The coordinated attacks comprised multiple person-borne improvised explosive devices, otherwise known as suicide bombings. All the attacks took place on Saturday, the 29th of June, 2024. The first was recorded at about 1,500 hours, when a female suicide bomber disguised as a beggar invaded a wedding reception at Mararaba Hausare Street and detonated an improvised explosive device. Thereafter, at about 1,700 hours, while efforts were on to stabilize and move casualties of the initial explosion to hospital for further treatment, there was a second detonation from another female suicide bomber. The second explosion was on the same street, and in close proximity to the first explosion. Troops immediately imposed a curfew on the community to get members of the community indoors and prevent further casualties. However, while troops and hybrid forces were enforcing the curfew, a third explosion was recorded. The third explosion targeted the troops enforcing the curfew. The troops were attacked from behind by a third lady strapped with an IED vest. The explosion killed a soldier and 2 members of hybrid forces. The fourth incident was averted when the suspect was identified early enough, and she detonated the bomb prematurely, whereby she became the only casualty. On the whole, 20 persons were killed while 52 sustained varying degrees of injury and are receiving treatment. Buba said the Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, commiserated with all the victims of the incidents. He said the attacks were attempts at reprisal by the terrorists for the successes being recorded against them by the military. Edward said, "Given that we are in a state of war, it must be recognized that this despicable act is a response to recent successes in ongoing military operations. Indeed, our recent operations have decapitated the leadership of the terrorists, depleted their resources, reduced their support base, and reduced their influence." Clearly, the terrorists embarked on these cowardly attacks against innocent citizens to project an image of strength to cover their weakness and decline. Citizens must see through the smokescreen of the terrorists. We must realize that the terrorist aims to counter the reports of their weakness and create panic in the general population. Edward said troops would ensure the terrorists pay for the deadly attacks on the battlefield. "We call on citizens to stand united, remain vigilant, and continue to support the efforts of the armed forces to ensure a secure and peaceful future. The fate of the terrorists who perpetrated this insecurity will be violent and short, as troops will stop at nothing to take them out of the battlefield," he said. Representatives launch probe. The House of Representatives on Tuesday mandated its Committee on National Security and Intelligence to investigate the suicide bombing in Gwoza, a community in Borno State. The House, while pledging its readiness to tackle insecurity through legislative interventions, urged the committee to report back to it in 2 weeks for further action. The resolution of the House followed the adoption of a motion of urgent public importance, moved by the member representing Damboa, Agwoza, Chibok Federal Constituency, Ahmed Jahar, on need to condemn the suicide bombings in Gwoza, as well as the need for security agencies to increase intelligence gathering and community engagement to avert a reoccurrence. Jahar, in his motion, informed the House that last Saturday, suicide bombers targeted a wedding, funeral, and a hospital in coordinated attacks in Gwoza, Borno State. He noted that the terror attack resulted in the loss of not less than 30 innocent lives and caused immeasurable grief and suffering to the affected community, with many battling with their lives at the various hospitals. Jahar, a member of the All Progressives Congress, noted that the attacks underscored the threat posed to the country by terrorism. He said, "Intelligence gathering is a critical tool in the fight against terrorism, and it is essential that our security forces pave the necessary resources and support to gather timely and actionable intelligence to prevent attacks before they occur." Community engagement plays a vital role in building trust and cooperation between security forces and local residents. By fostering strong relationships with communities, our security agencies can gather valuable information, identify potential threats, and disrupt terrorist activities before they escalate into violence. Contributing to the motion, former Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives, representing Was Federal Constituency, Plateau State, Idris Was, called for serious efforts against terrorism even as he urged the federal government to go after the sponsors of all forms of criminality across the country.
And the House of Representatives has mandated its Committee on National Security and Intelligence to investigate the twin bomb attacks that killed dozens of people in Gwoza, Borno State. This is on a day the Parliament called on the federal and state government to do more in curtailing the outbreak of cholera in the country. National Assembly correspondent Cowardice reports.
A minute of silence yet again for victims of the recent twin bomb attacks at a wedding and funeral in Gwoza, Borno State. Official report put the death toll at about 30, while many others were injured. Lawmaker representing the affected community comes with a motion of urgent national importance on the sad incident. He wants the House to investigate the matter and for government to do more in safeguarding the lives and property of the people.
Suicide bombers, after identifying their faces, it was discovered that they were recruited, they were drugged, they were brainwashed, and they were imported to come to Gwoza.
Another motion on the cholera epidemic comes from Minority Leader Kingsley Chinda. He urges for improved enlightenment and sensitization of the people as he tasks government at all levels to prioritize access to potable water.
There is an urgent need for quick action or intervention by the federal and respective state governments to curb the disease from further spread across the country.
In another motion, the House resolved to conduct a detailed probe into the alleged misuse of government interventions and agricultural funding outside the Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security by government bodies.
The agricultural sector plays a crucial role in ensuring food security, improving nutrition, and supporting the livelihoods of millions of Nigerians. And any abuse on the programs and schemes of government drastically affects millions of innocent citizens.
The lawmakers want the contract for the construction of flooded sections of the East-West Road connecting major communities in Bayelsa State revoked over alleged ineptitude on the part of the contractor.
The company has failed to execute the contract, causing traffic disruptions, loss of lives, and fatalities.
A motion on the need to immortalize Nigeria's former chief electoral officer, Humphrey Nwosu, was unanimously supported.
Called the federal government to name the INEC of headquarters after Professor Humphrey Nwosu, if the House so agree.
The Southeast geopolitical zone has moved to add a new state to be at par with the 5 other zones in the country, as a bill seeking the creation of a TT state was read for the first time. Cowardice, TVC News, Abuja.
Thanks for tuning in to Smart Okason TV show. Keep exploring, stay curious, and never stop getting the latest information happening around. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share to keep the intellect flowing. Until next time, keep sharpening and be smart.